So I'm gonna go ahead and like sway over into the things that I do and the things that I've done in the past that have truly helped me navigate through my depression. This one might seem kind of dark and a little unexpected. I have always loved art. Specifically writing has always been my medium of choice. Poetry and like short stories. Drawing, whenever I was younger, I was always encouraged to draw by my grandparents, and these were the like little things that I would do whenever I went off to venture on my own journey to figure out what's going on with me. I started going back and reading some of the old things that I had written and really looking at some of the old drawings that I had made, and kind of allowed myself to be taken back to how I was feeling at the times of doing those things. As a child, whenever I specifically was writing things for the tax test or like short stories for school, I was only writing about my experiences. Like it would just like flow out of my brain. They weren't quite as articulate as I could make them now, but I was able to navigate what I was feeling and kind of get a gist of what was going on in my life as a kid back then. So my solution was to reconnect with creativity and art, and to get to know Nisa when she was a kid, whenever she was just a little girl. So this kind of brings up something that I think is really important, and it might be a little different, but I was still sad. So it's not something that just happens overnight. Boom, I made this drawing, I'm healed, I feel good. It's a gradual process, okay? And this was the process that I took. So what I did was I found special effects makeup. I was not into like full glam, like foundation, all of that. The most that I would do, because I never felt like I needed foundation. I thought my skin was always very good. The most that I would do is like a little bit of concealer. I loved doing eyeshadow. I would like fill in my brows and like lipstick. So I wouldn't ever really do like foundation. Maybe on a rare occasion I'll put some blush on. But that's what I did. So because I had already I like makeup, I don't even remember how this started. I found a special effects makeup account on YouTube like way back when, and I got into special effects makeup. So I would mostly do the makeup whenever I was feeling really sad. Like initially when I got into it, I was really excited because I'm like, oh my god, I've never thought about this as like a creative medium for me that I would ever try. Like this is so exciting, I'm learning how to do something new. So finding excitement in learning something new and creative really helped me navigate through whenever my depression was really kicking in. And whenever it would turn into moments where like I want to hurt myself, depression, I want to cut myself, I want to see pain, I want to feel pain, I would use this medium to hurt myself without actually hurting myself, if that makes any sense. So here are a few looks that I did whenever I was like navigating through my depression and not wanting to try to kill myself. Yes. So these are the things that I did. These are a few of the makeup looks that I did whenever I was feeling bad and I wanted to feel better, but I didn't want to actually hurt myself. So this is such a pivotal thing for me, because this was a time when I was trying to navigate, how can I be creative? How can I put these emotions into creativity without actually hurting myself? I don't want to kill myself anymore. I don't want to die anymore. I just want to feel better. I want to be better for me, and I want to be better for the people around me. After this, because this was like a phase, and it's really cool too, because you do these things, like I can still do special effects makeup. So if I do ever feel like really sad, I know that I have this as an option for me to try to feel better. I have this and I know that it works for me. once special effects makeup kind of became something that I wasn't super interested in anymore, I will say what kind of, no, I'm not condoning anybody go out here and do these kinds of things. I'm just talking about my experience. Around this time, I had taken my first psychedelic. The first psychedelic I'd ever taken was LSD. I was with a couple of friends and we went for a drive. I had never felt so inside of myself. I'm only going to briefly talk about this. I was in the back of the car, and even then, like in this time frame, I still didn't feel like I was worthy or that I had any real value to offer to anybody or to myself. I was in the back of the car and I just was like, hey, I need paper, I need a pen, I need paper, I need it now. I need it now. So my friend gave me a pen and a paper, and I wrote on this paper that I am alone and that it's okay to be alone. Growing up, I had always felt like I was alone. I never felt like I belonged anywhere. Even as a very young child, like I'd never felt like I truly belonged anywhere. I felt like I was just kind of like floating around. So I don't know what it was about that trip specifically, but writing that down and like after I was like coming to my senses, that was a big moment. And I felt like that was me realizing that it's okay. I realized like I don't have to have the huge friend group with all the people. And after I took LSD, this is around the time when I found Alan Watts. And I will say this is also the like full turning point in my life when I realized that I don't need to be depressed. I don't need to be suicidal. I can live as I am, and that there's way more to this world and to this existence than what I had been letting on a very superficial level. That's not to disregard the trauma. This is just how I was coping with and learning about myself. These were the steps that I started taking to learn about myself. And it took me learning about the world around me for me to get inside. So Alan Watts was my first introduction to philosophy. Now, I had also experienced a lot of anxiety growing up, and he has a quote. It's, "A person who thinks all of the time has nothing to think about except thoughts, so he loses touch with reality and lives in a world of illusion." This quote pretty much changed my life. I know it sounds really dramatic, but it pretty much changed my life. And then through him, I discovered Baba Ram Dass. So it's like Alan Watts introduced me into looking inward and coexisting with the world around me. And Baba Ram Dass taught me how to love myself and how to just be. And then I found Terence McKenna. I think naturally, if you look into LSD, you're gonna find Terence McKenna. He's a psychonaut. He helped me with my understanding of the world at large, in a like there's more to this world, what we are able to see and what we are able to perceive. Essentially, this was also where I started building the foundations for my belief, which is energy. Energy is everything. And I mean that as in we all vibrate at a very specific frequency. And I believe that whatever frequency you're vibrating at, you will naturally attract these other frequencies that are within the range of your own frequency. And whenever I was really young and I was going through all of these like manic episodes and like trying to kill myself constantly, I was at a very, very low. And because of this, I was attracting all of these horrible thoughts and ways that I could kill myself, and I felt like I was so worthless. When I started to learn how to love myself and how to express myself through art and creativity, my energy levels shifted. Not just like inside emotionally, but physically, like my energy levels shifted. It was quite the change. Whenever I went out and I moved here to Austin, I feel like I was, this might sound like real woo-woo, but I felt like I was really vibrating in a frequency at the time that felt so fitting for me. I had attracted so much abundance in life into myself at that time. I was very ambitious. I had like goals set in mind. I specifically remember this one was really cool. And this is when I realized that this is real, like this is magic. I had wrote down in my notebook, I want to work at this specific coffee shop. And I believe within a month, I got a job at that coffee shop. And then I wanted to sell art, and I made that a reality, and I was making an income from it. You know, these things just start happening whenever you shift your brain. You have to like teach your brain to like shift in different directions and be malleable. Now, to kind of like bring it back to where I am now, I am no longer suicidal. I'm gonna say that right now. I'm no longer suicidal. I actually love life. I do have moments where I am really sad, and I think that just comes naturally with being human and being alive. I think we all get really, really sad sometimes. And it's usually these moments where I'm really, really honing in on the foundations that I set up for myself. Journaling, I still love to write. Again, that's my medium of choice. It's always been my medium of choice. Journaling and poetry and writing. And I also like to play my guitar when I'm really sad, or I'll play an instrument. This means of expression will lead me into a means of curiosity, which makes me want to learn more about something specific. Sometimes I just get like carried away in the thing that I'm doing, if that makes sense. Another big thing that I do whenever I'm really sad is I go out and be in nature. I know that sounds really basic, but being out in nature will ground you. What worked for me was getting in touch with my inner child and learning what she needed and reminding her that she is safe. So my camera's about to die. That's it. That's my story. That's my history with depression and suicide attempts, and my history with my childhood, and some of the things that I did that kind of helped me shift from being extremely depressed and suicidal to someone who's more okay with life and who's much happier than she was when she was young, in her early 20s, late teens, and it only gets better. I'm still working on myself. I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. Perfectly imperfect. We're all perfectly imperfect. Everybody's on their own journey, and everybody's going to experience life as they do, however they do. I hope this video helps. I really do. I hope that hearing my story might help someone out there realize that you can do it. If you really want to get out of the depression cycle, you can do it. You can. It takes work, and it takes a lot of honesty, and it might take some sacrifices. You will have to give up your old life, but in doing that, you might be really happy with the life that you get after. And be patient. It takes a long time. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hope wherever you are, you're having a blessed day, morning, night, whatever you got going on. I hope it's going well. And I'm gonna end this with a quote that my old friend used to tell me often, and it's, may you be loved, cared for, and cherished wherever you end up in this universe. Thank you, everyone, for watching again. Bye. Hi, Editing Nisa here. I just wanted to hop in real quick and say there was something that I briefly ran through as I am rewatching and finishing up this video that I realized I didn't really talk about too much. I have the window open, so please ignore any sounds that you hear. It smells like onions and garlic in here because we cooked. So I'm airing the place out, and it's raining outside, so it's gonna be real cozy kind of day. But I touched on the things that I did whenever I was like in the pits of my depression, and when I was ready to not be sad anymore. And then the one thing that I talked about, but I didn't really talk too much about, because I feel like this is something that's more outside of whenever I was in the like deep depths. I briefly mentioned how I wanted to connect more with my inner child, and I wanted my inner child to know that she is safe. I wanted to be there for her. Inner child therapy started for me in my mid-20s. Actually started when I moved to Austin. I think I like briefly talked about my experience through the inner child therapy portion of my therapy sessions, but I will leave a link to that video down below and also in the card right here, or I think it's on this side, whatever side it's on. I will leave a link if anybody is curious about my experience with my first year of therapy. First time ever, aside from the one time I had the session after my dad got custody and CPS covered our therapy expenses. I didn't know about inner child work. I didn't know that my inner child was even a thing. I didn't discover any of that until my mid-20s. So as I'm watching this now, and I know that I mentioned that, I'm referring to something that I learned about. I learned the root of what all of that was not until my mid-20s. That's it. All right. Thank you so much again for watching. I really hope this video helped, and I hope you have a great day or evening, night, whatever's going on in your life. I hope it's good.